I have a confession, 'cause confession heals the soul. Lately I've fallen down, stumbling over past sins and secrets I've held within. Lord, I'm struggling. I need you to fix my desire.
Slavery, or to be a slave, is to be in a state of having to work very hard without receiving any compensation or appreciation for the work put in, which sounds like a lot of people at work today, but hey, at least you got a job, except. Now, many of us are quite familiar with the history of slavery, whether you learnt about it in history class, watching 12 Years a Slave, Life, Diary of a Negro, Django, and especially the Boondocks.
Friends. Ain't no friends when it comes to slavery, real or make-believe. Now, since I was cursed with revitiligo and bone in the 20th century, I never got my chance to experience the beauty and magical nature known as slavery.
See, ever since the woke movement and the likes of Dr. Omar Johnson,
Sucking the lips and tongue of a Neanderthal, I almost puked, but let me stay focused.
many of us have been misinformed that the Christian Bible is pro-slavery. And of course, the verse that people love to quote, right? Slaves obey.
All right, welcome to another episode of Song Distillery. Today we have the wonderful Flavia on our show with us today. Hey Flavia, what's up?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm okay. No, it's been a rough week actually. Very, very rough week. But today, when you have like a series of rough days and then you have that one day that's kind of like all right.
Yeah.
Like, you get like a break, Yeah, so that was what today was.
You know what I find interesting?
Yes.
You say it's a rough week and we're only at Tuesday. Oh my.
Listen, no, trust me, man. Yeah, I want to them week. So say from Monday morning early, it starts.
Yeah. That's rough.
Yeah, but God is good. God is good. We're maintaining perspective.
Yeah, definitely.
You mentioned before we started that tomorrow, well, by the time people see this, your birthday would have gone. But tomorrow, today, is your birthday. Yeah, I want to wish you a happy birthday before it comes. By the time people see this, it would have already gone. But if you're watching this, remember to go to Flavia's page and wish her a belated happy birthday. If you don't mind me asking, how old would you be? Like, I know you're like just turning 13.
They say,
about 13,
wow.
14.
Right, that's what everybody believes. The other day I was sitting in a workshop and they're like, how old are you? 18, 19?
Oh, because you look young.
Like, yeah, I'm late mommy and daddy.
Yeah, they have the young gene.
You know, that young gene, but
yes,
it's a blessing. It just kind of takes some getting used to, but they say what, quarter century?
Yeah, quarter century.
That's where I'm at, 25.
All right,
tomorrow,
the big 25. I remember my 25th birthday. That was a big deal for me. It felt like a milestone. Does it feel like you're coming up to a milestone, or it just feels normal?
To be honest, I don't really place a lot of emphasis on my birthday. But what I will say though is, based on my age and the things that God has blessed me with, I have nothing to say other than I'm grateful. That's just where it's at.
That's it. That's it, for sure. All right, we want to dive a little bit into who is Flavia. I would love if you could share with us who is Flavia in a nutshell. Because sometimes, like, you read bios online or you read on Instagram and you get this impression of who this person is. But if you were to introduce yourself, like, yo, this is who I really am. Who is Flavia?
Well, I don't think I would introduce myself at all. I
get it.
I can be a little awkward. I'm introverted for the most part.
Really?
I'm slowly, what you call it now? Like, you know those people who can flip a switch?
Yeah.
I'm slowly getting to that place where when it's necessary,
right,
be comfortable with coming out of the box.
Right.
But I've been an introvert.
Hmm.
Like it's
Okay.
weird for me in social situations. Sometimes I
Yeah.
have to like give myself a whole pep talk. But
Wow.
yeah, I'm an introvert at heart. I
Okay.
can be awkward at times,
Mm.
but I love making people laugh. I love smiling. I love God. I love
Mm.
all things creative.
Mm.
Hence me being a music teacher, and as of
Mm.
recently a theater arts teacher.
What?
So yeah, I think that
Okay.
sums me up. Yeah, theater arts.
Okay. How has that been? Theater arts with, because I
The
mean,
theater arts part.
yeah. What has that been like? Because you always had an interest in theater, or this was something like a recent development?
It's a recent development, but it wasn't asked for. It was more like,
Mm.
Miss Beswick, I'm going on leave, and I think you're the most competent person to do the job.
Oh,
And I was like,
snap.
okay, sure, but that sure, we kind of shake like,
Yeah, nervous.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, God wouldn't give me this if I couldn't do it. So
Right,
sure.
right.
But I've been enjoying it though. It's
Mm.
out of my comfort zone, that's for sure.
Mm.
But I did an internship while at Edna because I got a scholarship from Jamaica Musical Theatre Company, and
Mm.
so
Okay.
it's not far fetched.
Right,
But I guess God has a way of preparing you for
right,
situations further down the line. So I had no
right,
idea I would be teaching theater arts.
right.
So
What are
yeah,
some of the, that's wild to me that the Lord would have before leading to that position, kind of hinted, because probably when you were on the scholarship, you weren't even
yeah,
thinking in your furthest dreams you were going to be teaching
no,
theater, right? And then God is just like, hey man, watch her, no? Feel like she know
far
what
from
God.
it.
He has a way of doing that
Because
all
even
the
when
time.
I was doing the internship, it was music related.
Oh,
I'm
okay,
doing the
yeah.
internship as one of the music assistants, so it was the
Okay,
furthest thing from my
right.
mind. But now thinking about it, I'm like, okay, God, I see what you're
Yeah, you see
doing.
what he was
I
doing, like he
see
has a
you.
sense of humor, right? Um,
Yeah,
what do you
definitely.
think is one of the most challenging things about pivoting into that space? Because I know, like for me as a creative, yeah, we're creative, but just like you described, so you have your strength and then you have areas that just kind of like, I don't know about that. You know what I mean? So whereas music for me is like an area that I feel fairly comfortable with in, there are other areas that I may not feel so comfortable in. So what do you feel like for you is one of the biggest lessons slash challenges of that, this kind of transitionary season of, all right, yeah, I know you're a musician, I know you're a songwriter, I know you're a singer, and we get to talk about that.
Yeah.
But like now you're in this theater space, like what's the biggest like journeying lesson from that transition?
For me, it's the limits that we put on ourselves
Mm,
or who we think we are.
yeah.
We stick to the notion of, yeah, I'm a singer, I'm a songwriter, I'm a music
Mm,
teacher. I mean, I went to college for music. That's
right,
what my bachelor's degrees in. So I'm a
right,
music teacher, but
right.
then I'm put in a position where I have no formal training for it. But
Mm,
at the same time, I have to just make it work. So what
yeah,
am I going to do?
yeah,
Be like, oh God, I can't do this. Why did you put me here? Sometimes I feel
right.
like that for true, but I
Mm,
have to be like, yeah, there's a reason you're here. What is it? I have to take off those limitations
absolutely.
and find the reason God placed me in that moment. So my biggest thing is the notion of who I am and having to adjust that perspective.
Absolutely. I think that's a fantastic response. One of my favorite passages in scripture is one in Hebrews. I don't remember where the exact reference is, but it speaks of, we are not of those who shrink back and are destroyed, but we are those who press ahead and lay hold. So
Right.
it's kind of like the writer of that book is talking a bit about how, as believers, we are those who forge ahead in faith, even in the face of like uncertain
Right.
situations. And so I feel like what you're describing in terms of the theater art space is kind of like you saying, well, God, it's not something I'm necessarily comfortable with, but I'm just going to lean into it and just,
Yeah.
go for it. And that's beautiful
Boy, it's
because,
more than leading. It's more like jumping. It's more than lean. It's more like it's just do a whole thrust.
Right. Just fling you in the water. I get you. I get you.
Right.
Tell me something. When did you start singing and playing guitar? Which one came first? When did it start? Or did both come at the same time?
I started singing first.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I had no intention of going on a stage with the guitar because the perfectionist in me does not like making mistakes in front of people.
Totally understand.
So, and the first time I went in front of my church with the guitar, I made so many mistakes. And if it was a mistake, some chords just wouldn't make a sound. So, like, doing that as a thing, because everybody knows me as a girl with a guitar now.
Yep.
But doing that
sure.
and to say, to go on the stage and say, hey, I'm going to sing in front of hundreds of people with my guitar.
Right.
That was never in the plan.
Wow.
It's just that, God has a way of forcing you. He does that to me a lot, forcing me out of my comfort zones.
Yeah.
And say, all right, you don't have access to a band right now. Or even if you do have access to a band, you don't have enough money to be paying them for each gig that you go. So what are you going to do, Flavia? To play the guitar. So hint, hint.
Right.
Use the guitar.
Yeah.
So that's where it's at.
What age did you start singing at?
I've always been singing, so I can't really give it a age to say I found out that I could sing. I grew up in a family of singers, and even if it's not like professional singing,
right?
I don't know how familiar you are with Adventists, but especially like those who are born in the church, the morning worship and the evening worship kind of thing is something that's ingrained in it. So I grew up, doing morning worship and stuff. And then, of course, children's choir, mommy in charge of children's choir. Right. Daddy can sing, but daddy don't want to sing in front of nobody. But I've always been around music, and I've always been influenced to sing. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So all right. So let me ask this then. Can you point to an age when you started writing songs? Like, so shifting from just like singing songs that you knew to like, you know what, I want to write this. I feel this song or whatever. Like, what was that for you? Was there an awakening moment like, I can write songs? You started writing, or what was that like?
Well, for me, I loved writing poems. That's where I started. I loved writing poems. Okay. Of course, as a child, your poems kind of sound like ABC 1, 2, 3.
There was a rat that saw the bat and ran from the cat.
Yeah, a cat. And the cat sat on the mat.
Yes. But it's a start.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely. So I started off with poems.
Okay.
In primary school, I literally had a book full of love songs, to be honest. Ask me who I'm writing about. I have no idea because I have no experience in that arena.
Oh, but, my word.
I had a book of love songs. Granted, I threw it away.
Wow. Okay.
But yeah, I think it's from a young age. I was always experimenting with words because that's how I express myself.
Right. Yeah. All right. Cool. So songwriting began in primary school. Guitar playing was kind of, the Lord just thrust you into that space.
Yeah.
There's something I really love about how we spoke about that guitar space, because in my journey, I've seen a similar kind of thing where the Lord oftentimes will force you into the most uncomfortable spots. You know what I mean? Like, he knows that you don't like doing this thing, or you don't like doing this thing publicly. So like, yo, go for it. And so what I love you to do is, for anybody who might be watching this video, can you share an encouraging word, an encouraging thought, just like something from your own experience that you think, just a tip that could come from you in terms of, all right, so you are a Christian, you're a believer, and you have some sort of creative gifting that you feel very afraid to showcase, very afraid to tell anybody about. You don't want to sing public, you don't want to play public, whatever it is that you do, you don't want to kind of share with anybody because you feel like it's not enough. What's one thing or a couple of things that you feel like you could share with somebody to be like, hey, I see you, I understand that space, and here's what helps.
Oh, okay. Well, the first thing that really comes to mind is trusting God, because you say for a Christian who's listening,
Yeah.
for somebody who's not a Christian, I would probably say the same thing, because it requires faith. Doing something that's out of the box, something you've never done before, something you probably even think you're not qualified or capable of doing, requires faith. And of course, for Christians, that faith is in God. Faith is in God to, one, show up, and two, make sure you
Yeah.
don't flop.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
outside of a performance perspective, though, it's much bigger than you, right? If you think about yourself, you're never going to be doing some of the things that you want to do.
That's right.
You have to think about the person that is going to impact. You have to think about the lives that is going to reach and bring closer to God. And once you see the big picture, it makes it a little bit easier. It doesn't completely remove all the nerves, but it
Right.
makes it a little bit easier because it puts things in perspective. There's a song that I wrote. I haven't released it as yet. It's on a project that I'm working on. And the
Nice.
first set of lyrics, it says, I'll give you the words I want you to say. You won't fail. Trust my plan. And it continues to say, please don't let fear get in the way. I need you to take my hand.
Yes.
And it really speaks to me. It's funny how some of these songs that we write, it really ministers to us in a personal way.
Oh yes.
Oh yes. But I feel like that was God's reminder to me that, hey, even if I put you in these very awkward situations, I already know the end result, and that end result doesn't include you failing. So
Praise God.
it's just trust and seeing the bigger picture.
Absolutely. I think that's so solid. That's so solid. And I know that somebody watching this is going to benefit from that, because one of the things I take so much joy in is like helping young creatives and people who are new to our creative space. It's like growing it, which was the biggest single reason why I ever did Song Distillery or Creative Tribe Talks, was because I remember I didn't grow up, unlike you, I didn't grow up in a household where there were people who really sang much. I mean, it's a weird space because both my parents were pastors. My mom is still a pastor. My dad is a pastor up until the time he passed away. And my dad was a songwriter, but he wasn't like a professional singer. He wrote like literally hundreds of songs to the Lord, just in his personal worship to the Lord. He never sang them anywhere outside of like in his own worship around the house. Sometimes he had a farm, so sometimes when I go up on the farm, you'd hear him sing one or two. You know what I mean? And I remember my mom, there was his songbook that he wrote in. I remember my mom saying there were like over 400 songs written in that book. And he just, before he died, he just destroyed the book. He was that kind of person. Whoa. He didn't like publicity. He didn't like people knowing what he did. He would like destroy his medals and award. Like that was the kind of person he was. So it was weird because there's that heritage, but then at the same time, it's like they're not really into it kind of thing. So I remember when the point came when, I felt like, I don't know what I'm called to be, but I feel like I'm called to do something. I don't know what it is, something. Yeah. And I remember it kind of feeling just really overwhelming and strange because it's a whole new space. It's like, what am I supposed to do anyway? You know what I mean? Where do I even start? Yeah. Or who do I reach out to and whatever? And I remember thinking to myself after being in that space for quite some time, and most days I still feel like I'm in that space. But I remember thinking to myself, I feel like I would want to help somebody else who is coming into that space to like be able to skip a couple of steps. You know what I mean? Like, all right, so you don't have to do that and that. You can just do this and go straight. Make the left down the road and follow to the big tree and then stop by the big shop. And so when you share things like that, I'm sure that like persons who watch all the time, people like message me and be like, yo, that thing that person said on the show helped me and that sort of thing. So I really appreciate you sharing that.
I tell you a funny story. With the guitar.
Yeah.
I was in high school, probably in 2014, Was it 2014? No, it was before that. But let's say around 2014, a friend of mine was like, "Hey, what do you want?" Because I was kind of upset about something. Not like upset, Malice kind of upset. But I don't remember what the situation was, and he was supposed to attend something or whatever the situation was. But he was like, "So, what do you want me to do to make it up?" I was like, "I want a guitar." And he's like, "All right." Like, that was a joke, right? And one day he called me and he said, "All right, we're going to Music Mart." His name is Karim.
Wow.
And he said, "We're going to Music Mart." And I picked out the guitar. I still have it. It's right beside me, actually, but I can't reach for it because of the setup.
Yeah.
But yeah, the guitar, I took it up. I did what I could do at the time, which wasn't much.
Right.
But I decided that I was going to learn a few chords. Started off with my mom's guitar, and my mom has one of those really small guitars.
Oh yeah, one of those
She
little
taught
ones.
me 3 chords. Yeah, she taught 3 chords, and I ran with those 3 chords.
Right.
But I didn't start using all of that information until maybe 2019, somewhere around there. It was, to be honest, it was because I won a Kevin Downswell's concert. Like, I needed to do something, and I didn't have a band. I was like, what's the next thing to do? All right, there's a song that I've been singing at church.
Right.
And I think you know by now I love Jonathan McReynolds' music.
Oh yes.
So it was, I can't remember the song right now, but I played one of his songs. And yeah, I think from there it just kept going, because then, people are like, "So bring the guitar." So it's being able to, push through the fear, because to go on that stage, Kevin Downswell's realignment concert is usually well supported.
Yep.
So to go on that stage with a guitar,
Yep.
boy, it was something. But yeah, definitely, if anybody's listening, trust God. If He puts you there, He will equip you.
That's right. That's right. As you mentioned, Jonathan McReynolds, share with us, who are your, let's say, top 5? Because I know like singers and songwriters have a whole heap. So probably 10. But let's say 5.
Okay,
You need 5 or 10. Let's say the top 5 people that have like influenced or inspired or like been good models for it to be like, yo, that is one of my people right there. Somebody you listen to or you used to listen to a whole lot. Let's go. 5.
All right, the first one is not a person.
Okay.
There's a CD that my mom bought for me when I was really young.
Okay.
It's called Lawrence the Cat. It's a Bible CD
Are you
with a
kidding
lot
me right
of singing. I'm serious.
Did you say Lawrence the Cat?
Lawrence the Cat was the Bible CD. So it's talking,
the Cat
he lost his Bible. Yeah, you can probably listen to the songs that are associated with him.
Oh my word. That's Lawrence the Cat in a hat? This is the cat with the Buckley hat with the Bible in his hand?
I think so, yeah.
Oh my God, what is this? Okay. All right, cool.
Like, I grew up listening as a baby or toddler. That was my first memory of music that I really loved. So there's that.
Okay, cool.
And then
you go Florence anyway.
Yeah, right. And then there's Dolly Parton, the first cassette that I bought, the Dolly Parton cassette.
Okay.
Yes, people who are, born in the 20s, y'all don't know what that is.
A lot of people don't know who Dolly Parton is today, and it's sad because she's such a legend.
Cassette is.
Yeah.
But so
Dolly Parton, Lawrence the Cat. Who else?
Every time it's a Lawrence, I want to laugh.
Because it's funny.
So there was Dolly Parton's Lawrence, Celine Dion.
Okay, Celine, cool. Okay.
I listened to, Mommy listened to a lot of Gaithers and Sandy Patty. So that's in the mix as well.
Yeah.
I wouldn't label it as somebody that I sat down and listened to, but it was definitely there. And
Yeah.
Where I am now, of course, Jonathan McReynolds. And
Mm.
recently, there is this artist that I started listening to. I don't know his actual name, but the name that I see on Spotify is Called Out Music.
I know Call Up
Absolutely
Music.
love his
I don't know
songs.
his actual name either, and it's wild
Yeah.
because we should know his actual name.
Right.
I really rate that guy. Call Up Music, Call It. Yeah. What's his actual name? He's a British guy. Samuel Nwachukwu. That's his correct name. Samuel Nwachukwu.
Okay.
Called Up Music. Really cool guy. Yeah. Really humble, solid vocals, solid music. So we have Lawrence the Cat.
And what I love is that he works on his music.
Yes. Yeah. Is it that? Do you
So
think?
it's like every time I listen to his songs, I feel like I'm not doing enough. Like, Flavia, you're wasting your talent.
Yeah.
You should be working on your songs.
Listen, I feel that way most days. Like honestly, honest to God. Like most days, I sit down and listen to people I'm inspired by. I come away, and it's something that like my close my close friends, like people like Chadwick Morgan, very good version of mine. People like him have to check me on it all the time because I struggle with like imposter syndrome and like drifting into the space of, yo, I will never make it the way I want. I hear it in my head. So just, yo,
Right.
go on. I can't about that.
Right, that's where it's at. That's
I battle that so much because like when I listen to the people I love and I hear what they're doing, I'm just like, how will I ever? This is what I want to make, but it's so, you know what I mean? But I guess
I always wanted to be a producer.
really.
Yeah, I always
Why
wanted to
not
be
do
a
it?
producer, and then that's the thing. Like, I've heard other people do some stuff, and I'm like, how do you make it sound like that? And then
Yeah.
I tried to do it, and I'm like, nope.
Nope.
And then I listen to called out music now. And I'm
Yeah.
like, but this can work. Maybe I can get it
Yeah.
to this level. So
Yeah.
it's like every time I listen to him, I just feel lazy.
Yo, I get it. I
I
get
just feel
it.
like God just draping me up like, Flavia, what you doing?
I get it.
Boy, I don't know.
I get it. Because that is like he I guess for you, he's kind of that middle ground where he's
Right.
doing well, but he's attainable. He's like goals, but within
Yeah.
reach, like realistic goals. You know what I mean?
And good goals too, because it sounds
yeah.
really nice.
Yeah, he does. So if we were, so let me understand. So if we're putting together a dream band for you, this dream band would have Lawrence the Cat as the lead singer. We would have Celine Dion, Sandy Patty, the Gaither vocal group singing the whole background harmonies there, like I'm in
That
the choir,
sounds good.
and Called Up Music around there playing the guitar and like chiming in with his British accent. Fantastic. That sounds like
I
a
don't
pretty
know how I
decent.
feel. I probably should be politically correct, but I'm not entirely sure how I feel about Celine Dion right now. I don't know if I should be saying it in this space.
Listen,
but
this is a
fashion line that
completely
she
free
has.
space to speak, complete without any fear of. You don't have to be politically correct in this space at all. Is it your concerns regarding, what are your concerns?
Our concern is, all right, so she came out with a fashion line, this new, and it's,
Didn't notice.
I can't even say it's borderline demonic. It looks very demonic, like it doesn't even look borderline. It's just skulls and what they say, gender neutral clothing. So I was like, what is happening here? So it's
Celine Dion
like,
fashion line.
yeah,
I didn't know she came up with a
have
fashion line.
reservations.
Okay. I did not know. You are enlightening me. I'm actually Googling and seeing the stuff here now, like the baby jumper suit with the skulls on it and stuff. I had no clue about
I
any
feel
of
like
this.
I just ruined some people's childhood.
Listen, all these things have to be discussed and exposed because like the truth is there's so much that goes on in the world, and I feel like it's hard sometimes as creatives kind of know what's the line between like just artistic expression and then when does it become like demonic and when is it, going into the occult kind of vibe. I had no clue that Celine had actually started her own fashion line and stuff, so that's wild.
Crazy.
So maybe we'll bump her off the worship team until she gets her stuff started out, but Lawrence can stay.
Like a prayer and fasting.
Yeah, Lawrence can stay as the lead singer for now, and maybe Call Up Music can give him some support there with the Gaither band behind them. So yeah, that's the dream band.
Yeah.
A couple
and
of
Jonathan McReynolds, remember?
And Jonathan McReynolds, yes.
Jonathan.
Won't leave him out. Tell me something. How do you feel about like Doe Jones' music? Is she somebody you listen to at all? Is she somebody you dig? Because
she is one of those standards.
Yeah. I really think so.
I feel stressed out every time I listen to her.
I know exactly what you're saying. I listened to her the other day on Israel's Live in Los Angeles album, that worship album that Israel did recently. Because there's this song that she does with Israel called Broken People. One of my favorite, that song is so good. Like every time I play that song, it really takes me to a place of worship. And it's beautiful because I really love when Christian creatives find that balance between like excellence, like this thing audibly sounds very, very pleasing, very good, and it's quality musicianship, quality songwriting, etc. But then that's balanced with like anointing and the presence of God and like a sincerely held faith and a presence, a seeking of the presence of God. And I feel like that song really does it. So when I heard her in that song, I was just like, whoa.
My favorite song from her is Brighter. Galactic, I'm praying for you.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
To write songs for you. Love it.
Cool. All right. Doe Jones has been going on with a lot of stuff. And just before we wrap up, I'd love for you to share with us what is the spread of your creative pursuits? Because I know sometimes that some people know you from music, some people don't know you have a podcast. Like you have your own podcast vibe going on. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
what's the breadth of all of that? Let's just share with us.
Victor, it's too much.
It's too much.
I get it. All right, let me tell you. The truth is I love to do a lot of things.
I get it.
And so right now I have the podcast, which is Kingdom Creatives Podcast.
Yes. Check that out, guys. Check out Flavia's podcast.
Music. Thank you. And I have my music. I'm also a music educator, so not just within a high school setting, but I do vocal coaching as well, and I teach beginner guitar. I have a clothing line that I started, which I really should pay more attention to, called Plugged In by Flavia. And then like I sew a bit, but I don't really put it out there. Those who followed my page on Instagram have seen me post a bit, a skirt there, a blouse there, but I don't do it publicly for people to say, hey, she's there. No. But there are a lot of things that I can do that I probably just decide not to do because, the whole jack of all trades, master of none kind of vibe.
I get you.
Yeah, because I can draw as well. I do a little graphic designing. Most of the things that I post on Instagram, I'm the one that design them.
Nice.
So
nice.
There's a lot.
That's so dope.
Just trying to focus.
That's solid. Yeah, you're trying to kind of get that laser focus. I totally understand it.
Yeah.
Share with us, where can anyone watching this find you, connect with your work, connect with your art, connect with your music, connect with you as a person? Where can we find you?
Type in Flavia Beswick on YouTube, Instagram, everywhere you listen to your music. And the same thing for Kingdom Creatives Podcast, Instagram, YouTube, and Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. For my clothing line, that's also on Instagram, but we'll talk about that some more.
Update
but
pending.
Plugged In by Flavia. Yeah. But yeah, that's it. Plugged In by Flavia, Kingdom Creatives Podcast, and of course, Flavia Beswick Music.
Fantastic. Flavia, I want to thank you for being on Creative Tribe Talk Song Distillery today. Really appreciate you taking the time to be here with us, to share with us of yourself and of your craft. God bless you and God bless everything that you're doing. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. I enjoyed it. This is one of my favorite interviews, by the way.
Ah!
Hello.